The US-China trade war is one of the most significant economic events of the 21st century. It represents a fundamental shift in the relationship between the world's two largest economies. The conflict began in 2018 and has had far-reaching consequences for the global economy. At the heart of the trade war lie concerns over China's trade practices. The US accused China of unfair trade practices, including intellectual property theft and forced technology transfer. The US also sought to reduce its trade deficit with China. This deficit had grown significantly in the years leading up to the trade war. The trade war has raised prices for consumers and businesses worldwide. It has also disrupted global supply chains and created uncertainty in the global economy. The conflict has further escalated tensions between the US and China. The trade war is a symptom of a broader competition between the US and China. This competition is about economic power, technological innovation, and global influence. The outcome of this rivalry will shape the future of the international order. In July 2018, the Trump administration fired the first shot in the trade war. The US imposed tariffs on $34 billion worth of Chinese goods. These tariffs targeted Chinese products in sectors like aerospace, robotics, and automobiles. The Trump administration argued that these tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs and intellectual property. The tariffs were met with immediate condemnation from China. The Chinese government viewed the tariffs as an attempt to stifle its economic rise. China responded with retaliatory tariffs on $34 billion worth of US goods. These tariffs targeted American products such as soybeans, pork, and automobiles. The initial exchange of tariffs marked a significant escalation in trade tensions. It signaled the beginning of a protracted trade war between the two economic giants. This initial skirmish would soon spiral into a tit-for-tat exchange of tariffs, impacting billions of dollars worth of goods. Over the following months, the US and China engaged in a series of retaliatory tariff increases. Each side sought to inflict economic pain on the other while protecting their own interests. The Trump administration imposed additional tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. China responded in kind, targeting a wide range of American products. The escalating tariffs had a ripple effect throughout the global economy. Businesses faced higher costs, consumers paid more for goods, and uncertainty gripped financial markets. The trade war disrupted global supply chains, forcing companies to rethink their sourcing strategies. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, warned that the trade war was harming global economic growth. Despite the mounting costs, neither side was willing to back down. The US demanded significant changes to China's economic policies, while China refused to negotiate under duress. The trade war became a high-stakes game of chicken, with each side hoping the other would blink first. In January 2020, after months of negotiations, the US and China signed the Phase 1 trade deal. The deal included a commitment from China to increase purchases of American goods and services. It also addressed some US concerns about intellectual property protection and forced technology transfer. However, the deal left many of the most contentious issues unresolved. The Phase 1 deal provided a temporary truce in the trade war, but it did not resolve the underlying economic and geopolitical tensions. The deal did not roll back most of the tariffs that had been imposed. The agreement also lacked mechanisms to ensure that China would fulfill its commitments. The COVID-19 pandemic further complicated the US-China trade relationship. The pandemic disrupted global supply chains and led to increased demand for medical supplies and other essential goods. The US and China both faced economic challenges due to the pandemic, further straining their relationship. The US-China trade war is a manifestation of a deeper rivalry between the two countries. This rivalry extends beyond trade to encompass technology, military power, and global influence. The US and China are competing for dominance in key technologies like artificial intelligence, 5G, and quantum computing. The Biden administration has maintained many of the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. The Biden administration argues that these tariffs are necessary to pressure China to make changes to its economic practices. However, the Biden administration has also expressed a willingness to cooperate with China on issues of mutual interest, such as climate change. The US-China rivalry is likely to define the 21st century. The outcome of this rivalry will have profound implications for the global order. The relationship between the US and China is complex and multifaceted. It is characterized by both cooperation and competition.